What is going on, guys? Before this video starts, I just want to say that if you are new here, please go ahead and consider hitting that subscribe button. That would honestly mean the world to me. And if you are not already in the Discord, check the description for the link to the Discord server. I would love to see you guys join that. I'm trying to grow that community as much as possible, and it's a lot easier to stay in communication with you guys through Discord. I would really enjoy that. I have a custom bot in there. I have some custom commands in there. So go ahead, jump in there, say hi, and I hope to see you there. Anthem is a good game, but it's unfinished, and that's kind of unacceptable. So Anthem is one of the most highly anticipated games of this year, and it finally dropped, but it wasn't highly anticipated in the same way that other titles coming this year are, like Cyberpunk 2077, for example. Anthem launched to a lot of speculation, both good and bad, which didn't really help the game settle, and kind of blocked it from getting to a lot of new people that it otherwise might have gone to. Although, that might have been for the better. Those people who are really invested in Anthem got a chance to really try it, and those people who were really speculative against Anthem and really didn't think that the game was going to perform well were also able to try it. Now, I want to try and get through this review, quote-unquote, as quickly as possible because, to be honest, a lot of this stuff you've probably heard before, but I wanted to make sure that I played the game through and through and had over 50 hours in the game and really got a chance to see all of what Anthem had to offer at launch, and that's kind of where I am right now. And a lot of patches have gone through that have fixed a lot of issues, and, you know, a lot of quality of life improvements have been added to the game since its launch, and that was the main reason why I wanted to wait. I wanted to see what happens after those updates come out, but it doesn't fix everything. So the environment, it's good. It has a good amount of detail. The only issue is that it's not varied in terms of the different sections of the landscape that you have. For example, you have mostly this jungle-like forested landscape that is present throughout the entire map, basically, except for certain small areas where you have a little bit of swamp, or you have another section that's like kind of like a volcano in some ways. So it's like a small bit of variety, but for the most part, the map feels exactly the same. It's like a ruin of buildings within a jungle. That's literally it. So one thing that I was kind of disappointed on, but I kind of also expected, was the landscape to all be the same, to all be similar. Now, the only way to really fix that is for BioWare to really focus on making the different sections of the map feel important. And that's what they didn't do with the story, and I really think they should have. They should have made the different areas of the map have some sort of significance, have some sort of big marker to say, okay, well, yeah, this is what this area is like, and this is why it's different. So, and there are certain areas like that around the map. Like, there's this one ruined city that's kind of just out there, and you could tell that it's been lived in, and, you know, there's like lore behind it that you can collect, but unless you actually read the lore, you won't know that it's anything different. You know, it just looks like literally the same landscape with some buildings. So I don't know, they just need to work on that, and honestly at this point I don't really think they can do much about it, but we'll see. Honestly, I really like how they did the enemies. I think that they did a good job in terms of variation of the different factions and all of the different sub-enemies that are within those factions. So, for example, you have snipers, you have just assault gunners, you have heavy guys, you have turrets, you have just regular grunts. I mean, there's a lot of variety there, and there's a lot of room to expand on that variety with future patches. So I think that they did a really good job on the enemies, and there's not really too much in terms of negatives of the enemies. The only thing I would really state is that for some reason, every once in a while, the enemies don't really do anything. Meaning, you get into a fight with an enemy, and they kind of just stare at you. But to be honest, you don't really notice that too much, because if one enemy is just standing there, there are certainly like 7 others that are trying to attack you and kill you, so it's really not that bad. So with missions, to be honest, there isn't really too much good here. There's really only 4 mission types. Extermination, which you just go in and kill everything in an area. You have grab, which you just go around and pick up pieces of a relic and bring them back to the relic itself. You have defend, which you just go in and defend a certain area, whether that's supposed to be a person or a relic or whatever. It doesn't really matter. You just go and defend a point, and the more people you have inside of that point, the faster the progress will fill up. And then you have search and destroy, which you just go around and destroy caches or something along those lines, and you have to do that within a certain amount of time sometimes, etc, etc. That may seem like a lot of variety, but it really isn't for a game where you spend literally hours doing missions. You're literally doing the exact same things over and over again, and it gets really stale really quickly. So that's a major complaint that a lot of people have been having, and that's something that I completely agree with. I think that the way that they set up the missions is not good, especially for a game that they have been working on for 6 years. They definitely should have had a lot more mission variety. I mean, that's just it. That's hands down. They should have had more mission variety. Now, in terms of combat, I'm actually bundling up regular, like, combat, so the stuff that you can do with your guns, the stuff that you can do with your abilities, etc, etc. And I'm also bundling in the movement system with that as well, so you being able to traverse the world with your javelin, feeling like Iron Man, etc, etc. Overall, I feel that combat is fantastic. It's probably one of the best combat systems, including maneuverability, including the movement system. I feel like it's one of the best, if not the best, combat system in any looter shooter that is out there right now, in my opinion. And of course, you may have it. Fucking hell, stop messaging me on Discord. Of course, you may have a different opinion on that. But, oh my god. Bro! Where was I? Yes, so the combat system is fantastic in this game. It's probably one of the best in any looter shooter that I currently have played. That's just it, hands down, and obviously that's a personal opinion, but to me, I feel like the way that they approach this combat system is very teamwork oriented. It's in a way where, okay, well, if I'm doing this, I would like to have a teammate that does this, so you should go ahead and set off a primer, I'll go ahead and set off a detonator, or while I'm doing this, you should put a shield up, or while I'm doing this, you should be buffing me, or hey, I'm set on fire, you should remove my debuffs, or you should remove my status effects, etc, etc. It's that kind of stuff that I actually really appreciate, and I think that they put a lot of time into that. I just wish they also spent a lot of time on other things like the environment and the missions. Which is really unfortunate to say, but that's just the way it is. One of the last things I want to talk about is the story. So overall, I was actually paying attention to the story. That's the reason why I didn't stream it. I really wanted to listen to what was going on and really understand what was happening. And for the most part, the story is actually very enticing, especially once you get towards the middle-ish of the story. In the beginning, it's kind of meh, it's kind of slow, but once you get past the Tombs mission, I would say, that's when it starts picking up, and that's when you start like really caring about the different characters that are in the story. One thing that I didn't experience that a lot of other people experienced was the Tomb mission where you had to go out and collect things, or you had to go out and do different challenges in order to progress in the story. And the way that it was for people who played on day one, because I didn't play on day one because I was out of town, but the way that it was for people who played at day one was you went in, and when you got that mission, like that specific mission, that is when you were given the challenges. So you literally had to start from ground zero once you get that challenge, or once you get that mission, and that is so stupid, because there was a lot of challenges, and it took you a lot of time to finish that. And of course, you know, if that was a side mission, then that's fine, but that's the main story. If I want to progress through the main story, I shouldn't be blocked by challenges. So what they decided to do was they pushed it so that it was able to be started once you reach level 3, and that's when I started playing. So it really wasn't that bad of an experience for me. It took maybe an extra hour, maybe 2, to finish the other challenges that I hadn't once I actually got the mission. So it really wasn't that bad for me, and it won't be that bad for you if you jump into the game now. But I completely understand how people were upset with that issue in the past, or you know, when it launched day one. That was completely unjustified, and that was not a good design decision. Overall, the story was decent, it was enjoyable, it wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad either. One thing that I would note is that they should have focused more on the characters. They seem to do that once you hit the half point of the story, and it becomes a lot more character focused around the half point of the story. But before then, they try and make you care about the Anthem and about the Shapers, and it just doesn't really click. What they should have done instead is they should have made the Anthem and the Shapers more mysterious. They drop little hints here and there. They make you want to feel, they make you want to like understand more about it, and then save that for the later content packs that are coming in the future. I think that would have been a much better approach, but instead they kind of took this approach where we kind of mix in, oh, let's make them care about the characters, and then also let's make them care about the Anthem, and let's make them care about this lore and stuff like that. They should have just focused on the characters straight off the bat and make me tied to the characters so that I want to come back in the future for these next installments. I want to care about what happens to these guys. One last thing I want to mention is the side stories, which I kind of mentioned earlier, but side stories in this game are very good, in my opinion. I think that they did a great job in terms of building those, you know, odd characters that are just littered around Fort Tarsis. If you haven't done it, I would definitely suggest going to talk to some of the NPCs that are just standing around ready to talk to you, and really listen to their stories and listen to what they have to say, because usually they're pretty enticing, they're pretty interesting. For example, there is this one old lady, I forgot her name, I'm sorry, I did the story like while I was doing the playthrough, but there's this one old lady who's waiting for her son to come home because he's a freelancer. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I think that the way that they approached this story and many of the other side stories that are just littered around Fort Tarsis, I think they did a very good job. It actually drew me in, and it made me want to invest more time in those characters, and it made me excited to come back to Fort Tarsis to talk to these different side characters. One thing that I forgot to mention is that the ending of the main storyline was not very good. It left a lot to be desired. It was like, oh yeah, we're building up to this big boss fight, we're building up to this big thing, and then you get to it, and then it kind of just ends, you know? You're just like, meh, it just doesn't feel rewarding. So that's one of the big issues that I had, and I actually did stream that last mission. You could check it out on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TDefton. But I was honestly speechless, and not in a good way, because it just felt like I didn't accomplish anything. I don't know. That was just my take on the last mission. Maybe you guys have a different opinion. If you do, please let me know down below. The endgame content in this game, which are, as of right now, strongholds, they're fun to play, but honestly, they become a little bit repetitive, especially if you're doing them consistently, like every day. I don't know, it just starts getting old after a while, especially because the courses don't actually change. They're all static. So if you don't have a dynamic changing like endgame system, it kind of just feels like you're doing the same thing over and over again, which is exactly what you're doing. And it kind of takes away from the experience. One thing I will say though is that the difficulties, Grandmaster 1, 2, and 3, they definitely provide a challenge. So if you're one of those people who are looking for a challenge, this game will provide it with Grandmaster 2 and 3. Those are very difficult to complete. Now there's a couple of things I want to nitpick at here. So first, a really bad thing is the fact that they don't have pinging. They didn't think of that throughout the 6 years of development. This is an open world game, and this is a looter shooter at that. They really should have made a pinging system. They should have made some sort of waypoint system. It's kind of ridiculous that you have to constantly open up your map if you want to go somewhere in free play. Like, that's not fun. You need to make a waypoint system, and I think they are working on that, but it should have been done from the get-go. That is a basic thing in any open world looter shooter, period. Another gripe I have, which a lot of people have, is the loading screens. I think that there are way too many loading screens, and honestly, they're way too long. To be honest, I think that this is mostly an issue with the engine that they're using. With the whole intention of Frostbite being done in different cells, like you have different cells that you go into, I think that really increased the amount of loading screens that they had, and it was really unnecessary. So, I mean, everybody's heard this before, the loading screens are bad, so I'm not going to go on about it, but to be honest, that was a gripe that I had with the game. To be honest, other than that, there isn't really too much else to talk about in terms of Anthem. I thought the game was good. I'm still enjoying it, and it's not like I'm all gaga goo goo over it. It has some problems. It has some serious problems. I would not, definitely don't buy this game right now. I'm not recommending anyone buying this game right now. It is not worth $60. Maybe you can pay for the $15 Origin Access Premier and play it through that. I mean, to be honest, that's really the only thing I would suggest to you, because this game is not worth $60. But the game is still fun, and I can definitely see it improving over time. So I would say it's probably going to be a situation like The Division or like Rainbow Six Siege, where we kind of have to wait for it to get to its full potential. But I digress. Overall, I'm pretty disappointed, but it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. That's all I really have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and leave it a like. I would really appreciate it. If you have your own opinions on Anthem, whether it's good or bad, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. Let me know whether I was right or wrong about anything. And if I left anything out, please let me know. I would love to just make sure I cover all my bases. And if you guys can help me do that, that would be greatly appreciated. I post video essays and also general reviews like this. And also, if you notice, my content in the past used to be really focused on Warframe. I'm still really into the game, so if you're coming from that Warframe community that used to, you know, really be into my videos, I'm still going to be posting Warframe stuff. I'm actually working on a video that has to do with the new Night Watch edition that they added to the game, but that's coming later. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.